Hi everyone. So this week, these are my questions, and I'll go ahead first and start off with what is worth teaching. And I'll start by quoting Wolk. We must rethink our classrooms as vibrant spaces that awaken consciousness to the world, open minds to problems of your human condition, and inspire wonder and help people to lead personally fulfilling lives. One thing that I think is worth teaching is what is important to us. What is important in our lives? People say that family is important. Okay, so then we need to be teaching how to be a compassionate person, how to be forgiving, how to be a homemaker, how to do these different things to take care of our family members because they are the most important. Or to someone saying traveling is the most important thing, then teach them how to budget in order to travel, to do those things. So I think it differs between person to person on what is important. I think it is clear that there always has to be a human consciousness recognizing the moral issues potentially involved in a situation, if there is to be a moral life. And secondly, we need to teach morals. We need to teach kids how to have empathy and have compassion and to be forgiving and to focus on those choices and how they make them feel. That's a huge thing is we need to tie those emotions into our choices so we can tune in to our feelings and how those choices make us feel. And that goes great into my second question, how to teach morals in today's school. I'm rather suggesting the attentiveness and the moral dimensions of existence ought to permeate many of the classes taught. That wide awakeness ought to accompany every effort made to initiate persons into any form of life or academic discipline. I really like these quotes, and one really important thing is we need to have the proper discipline for those kids so they know what's right and wrong, and to have them understand what it feels, how they feel when they are hit or when they hit someone else. And teachers need to exemplify those morals, and because a lot can come from observing and learning from other people's experiences. How can I teach my daughter to make decisions for herself? Again, I can teach her from my own mistakes. And that is one great way we can do that, and to just sit down and talk to them about it. And not force it, but to make it an option. And to be like, hey, this is what I learned, and I don't want you to have to make the same mistake, but it is your choice. And I can also help her learn from her own mistakes with the right kind of discipline. One thing I am not a fan of is crying it out with kids. Don't agree with it. With my daughter, she's 1.5, and there's been times where I've been tempted to let her just cry it out. But when she's crying and the fake crying turns into real crying and the real crying turns into sobbing, I have been able to recognize the turning point where it turns from fake to real. And the worst kind of punishment we have in this nation is solitude, because it really messes with someone's mental psyche. And I don't think it's right to put our kids in that similar kind of situation where they're all alone by themselves as a punishment, and where we're not there to comfort them. When they're crying or when they're having a hard time, they really just need comfort and love. And sometimes it can be hard, but I don't think isolation is good as a punishment. I think it can be good for having alone time throughout the day, but definitely not as a punishment. Okay, and how can I live more wide awake in my own life? So I have troubles with this sometimes where I just keep going and going and going and planning and trying to get things done, and sometimes I have a hard time to stop and think. And when I'm in those situations of just like constantly going, my mind's going, I just need to take a moment, sit down, and just breathe, and maybe even count or sing a song or anything like that, and just take a moment. And really think, is this going to affect me in a year? And just keep that long-term mindset. Another thing to stay more wide awake is, are you choosing the best course of action? Is this choice going to help me in a year or so? Do I feel okay with this choice? And then one thing I love to do is I love to go into the woods. I love to go camping. I love to go mountain biking. I love all of it. And so one great thing for me to just like reset is to go hiking, just to go camping for a night, and just to have that time in stillness and make that a priority when you can. Even when you're at home, take a minute to sit in a room and just kind of sit and think and organize your thoughts. And just be involved in others' lives. Now, I don't mean that as to always be doing something. I mean that in a way to be aware of others and to be aware of their lives and of their feelings. And I think all of these are really important, and I think all of these things can be done, and it just will take time and effort. Thanks for listening.